My Haitian accents.
Texas. You know, I'm in Texas. You
I
know, they
mean,
like to shoot out this
I
motherfucker.
liked AR-15s because
Yeah.
I liked AK-47
This is
from
F.
Lincoln. I just liked it. But you know what? He's
Everybody
got
look like, you know what we should go. You
Hey
know when they had a
man,
car dealership and they have the blow up joint.
listen, just like listen. I'm on the road recording for 2 weeks. You know, it's by any means necessary here. I'm dedicated to the
There
process.
you go. You show your
Hey,
Dedicated to the
dedication
hey,
to
pod.
the
look, look.
303,
I,
You
baby.
know what?
you know,
Ironically, yo, it's kind
you
of funny. I'm not gonna lie, yo.
I'm kind of mad that
listen.
Hans didn't address it. Hans, I thought you
I'm
were going to
actually
address
kind
it.
of surprised at the
I
consistency that we've had. Because you know, I'm sure we've all dealt with people that they be talking that they want to do stuff, and it's like, nah, yeah. And then
so
you know they
so
want to, and then you're like they fall off. But I'm like, okay, I appreciate the discipline and consistency that we've been having. Shout out to
so
that.
man.
I think the definition of greatness is to inspire the people next to you. It's not something that lives and dies with one person. It's how can you inspire a person to then in turn inspire another person that then inspires another person. And that's how you create something that I think lasts forever. And I think that's our challenge as people, is to figure out how our story can impact others and motivate them in a way to create their own greatness.
Welcome to the Welcome to the 3 on 3 podcast. I'm your host, Hans, here with my boys Evan and Lou and the pod Mamba in the background, here to give you your great basketball takes coming right at you. Today we have a great show, as always, in stored for you. We have our reactions and our takes on ESPN's 25 under 25 and what's going on in LA. I think it's raining. Ain't no sunshine out there. There ain't been no sunshine this week in LA, boys.
SoCal, they say what? It never
Listen,
rains in Southern California.
it's been raining, thundering, thundering, thundering.
Whoa.
And last but not least, we know it's early, but we got some takes on what's going on in the NBA. But first, 25 under 25, ESPN dropped their 25 under 25 list and they're ranking them. So, Ev, our boy here, brought this list to our attention. I know you've been watching it, studied it, probably have it up on your wall since you're the basketball connoisseur up in here. Have all the stats ready to go. What are your thoughts, man, on this list? Let's go.
Fascinating list. We'll start off with there. Appreciate the effort by ESPN. I always find it interesting when they come up with these lists because I feel like they think of certain people and then they pull them together as they think about them. So it's not a true ranking. It's like, oh, what about this guy? Or what about this guy that's related to him? And then they end up like 13 and 14. So, you know, but I get it. It's content. It worked because, you know, it got me thinking about it and talking about it. So when I'm going through the list, I'm looking at it. A couple names stood out to me. The first one I'm gonna throw out there is LaMelo Ball. I understand the hype about him coming in. I understand.
What number was he?
He's number 9 on the list.
I was about to say he's number 9.
Okay.
My bad. I should jump.
No, it's so good.
It's okay.
Because that's gonna. I feel like that's gonna give us the preface of where our dear brother is gonna go with it. So he's number 9 on the list.
Absolutely. And we'll preface this with a bunch of things we say today with it's early, okay? But LaMelo Ball, 9th best player under 25, better than players like Scotty Barnes, better than players like Tyrese Maxey, Jaren Jackson, even Paolo Banchero. I'm not seeing it. I don't see winning basketball from him. I don't see a player that they could keep in the fourth quarter. They pull him out because of his defense. He's 45, a career high 45% at the rim. That under 50%, that's on layups. That's not going to get it done from the point guard position. And I'm fine. Okay, he can put up 30 points a game, but his team is perpetually out of the playoffs. I don't see winning basketball from him. I don't know, even if you put him on a different team, would he contribute to winning? He's cut down his 30-foot three-pointers a little bit, but you know, he's still in that I think I'm Steph Curry range. He's not Steph Curry.
I'll trade him for his brother for sure on the Bulls. So
I mean,
don't talk about it.
I mean, you'll trade a player that is playing for a player that's not playing. I definitely
Hello,
give you that. But
hello.
but I don't want any of the balls on my team. Lonzo,
Pause.
LaMelo, what's
D'Angelo
I
or something. What is
set
it?
myself up early.
First of
LiAngelo.
all, LiAngelo had no shot. He was never making it to league.
He had a couple 10-day
Shout-
contracts. He had a couple 10 days.
Shout out to LeVar. He got his two sons to the league. All respect due. That's awesome.
well, he can say he got all three.
But
on
he got two of the
paper.
three. Two of the
He
three.
did better than Jordan did.
lottery
I'm just
picks.
saying.
Absolutely.
I'm just
First of
saying.
all, Jordan.
That's a feat. You got
First of
two
all,
out of three.
It's Jordan. Like, come on, man.
I'm just saying, bro. I'm just saying. 2 out of 3, though. You got to get that man credit. 2 out of 3 in the league. That's
But
winning the lottery twice.
Lamar ain't did nothing, bro. Like Lamar ain't bouncing more in the 99. Like Jordan
you brought this up. You brought this up, and it's relevant because Jordan up until last year owned the Hornets. So
The Hornets, he stole his majority. He's
it's
minority still.
relevant
Does he have a
topic.
little bit? Or no? He saw all of it.
A little bit, I think.
Yeah, he's still like a minority.
I'm about to say he still gets some bread from me. He still is he's part owner still.
You brought up his sons. Let me ask you this. Do you think he was actually training his sons? Or do you think he balled with them a few times, saw they weren't it, and then just spent like the next 15 years just like whooping their tail on the court?
He's like, yo, they will never play football.
You think they got basketball PTSD?
Yes.
Yes. Thanks to my dad, I never want to see a basketball.
I think LiAngelo does. I think LaMelo does it because it's fun, because he had two older brothers he had to play against.
Or we're talking about Jordan's kids.
No.
Right?
I'm talking Jordan's kids.
Oh, Jordan's kids.
We're talking about Jordan's kids.
Oh, no.
Jordan's. I think it's exactly what Ev said. Like, he saw his kids on the court. He's like, ain't no way.
No, it's pure.
Do you think Michael Jordan literally said the word, "These are my sons"?
No, I think he looked at him. He was just they will never be in the NBA.
Bro, I want to say something, but I want to keep this pod PC, and I don't want us going viral for the wrong reason.
So
we might meet MJ one day.
No. Here's the great thing about this. Say what you're gonna say. Our pod mamba is just gonna bleep it out.
That's
true. What are you talking about? I'll say it myself. Marcus Jordan, great scorer. Oh, what are you guys talking about?
I feel like he looked at him and he blamed the mother for half of the DNA. He said, I did my part. I did my part.
What do you mean wrong? Let's be clear.
What are you
I
doing?
know I would do the same. I got great athletic genes. And my little homies, if I would have children, they weren't athletic, I'm definitely looking at the mom. I'm like, yo, this is on you. Because look at me. Look at me.
So get him back.
You got to show you got like, look at me. I'm literally. People confused me. They thought I was the logo. Stop playing with mama.
So getting back to children of the game. LaMelo, too high on the list for me. Doesn't contribute to winning basketball. 30 points is impressive, but I've seen high 20-point scorers come and go in this league that don't contribute to winning basketball.
Okay.
I feel he's on that list until he proves me wrong. Again, it's early, but he's got to prove me wrong.
So you talk about empty stats, it's cool. But okay, so if he's 9, where should he be on the top 25 at all, or where would he better rank?
He should be there, but I think
it's a classic Hans question. Hans asks, it's like, okay, cool. If they don't rank there, who should be on there? Who should be taking that spot?
I think he should be behind other players. Tyrese Maxey, Jaren Jackson, the ones that are immediately behind him. Players that are already contributing in winning environments. Defensive MVP, Tyrese Maxey, getting better every year, taking the reins from a James Harden. I think I'm just going on the people behind him. I'd put Evan Mobley, stronger defensively. Can still score.
Namesake.
I mean, great first name. Definitely have no problem with that. So I would put him in the 13 to 15 range. While I'm going real quick, just, come back to me when you want to talk about who I think should be higher. But Scotty Barnes, definitely a player, a 5-tool player that can guard 1 through 5. handle the ball. I mean, he's a player on the list that I think should be high, much higher than where he's at. So
Where
if
is he
we're
right
talking
now?
about
And where do you think he
he's
should be?
15th on the list, I definitely have him top 10 in this list. Definitely. So
Before
if we're
we
talking,
jump,
I know I'm jumping, but if you ask me the question where LaMelo should be, he should be behind those players.
no, and what I was gonna say before I jump to Lou's thoughts on the list, I wholeheartedly 100% was going to press you on the your LaMelo take, but once you start to hit me with cold hard facts, I was like, dang. You're right, because Scotty Barnes and to me the Tyrese Maxey were the most egregious ones that you would have to put behind LaMelo, given how they have so far exceeded it. The only reason I can see LaMelo being there is the narrative in which F brought up. It's like your boys were sitting at the table and there was like looking at some LaMelo highlights. Yo, remember he was doing this, he was doing the league and everything like that, and he got injured. And I think he's there just based off seniority, maybe, and what he's done before. So therefore, they're thinking he's done it before. He's most likely able to do it again versus projection, at least my thought on where he's ranked right now. But I really was ready to push you on that. But you can't argue with how great Scotty Barnes, Maxey, especially Maxey, who should be really a lot higher than what he is, in my opinion. But yeah, I 100% agree. And I didn't mean to jump on you, Lou, on your take on the list, but LaMelo is, in my opinion, nearing that. Is this who he is? This take that Evan loves to when we have basketball discussions, and Evan's always point this out. He'll say, "Are they who they are? Is this it? Like, is this who we're seeing?" And I think LaMelo is approaching that year of the league. I think after their junior year, sophomore year, they start to form with this is who they are. So who is LaMelo? Is this all we're going to get? Is he a player who's going to have injuries and is just going to underperform and have trouble hit shots sometimes? Is this who he is? You know, it's something that we have to consider.
I mean, not necessarily subscribe to the fact that LaMelo underperformed. And, I'm going to just jump into mine, right? For me, somebody who is too low, and I'll get to the too high, but too low is Tyrese Maxey. He was outside of the top 10. Tyrese Maxey for sure should be in the top 10. Not only for how integral he's been to the Sixers, especially over the last playoff run, coming behind Harden. So it's like, yo, if you're coming behind Harden and you're also making a super impact on the team, and then now, as Emma said, yo, you got the keys to the city now. You are the point guard of the team. Harden is out, so you can now actually reach your full potential. I think even still playing behind Harden, he has cemented himself in a position where he should be in the top 10 conversation. And people like LaMelo, Zion, I'm sorry. You guys have not been on the court. You guys have been injured. So at the end of the day, it's like I cannot
Zion's at number 7, just for those wondering.
I know, yeah, he's a top 10 guy, and so is LaMelo, a top 10 guy at 7 and 9, with Zion and LaMelo respectively. I'm not going to put you over a guy like Maxey, who has day in, day out, game in, game out, has proven why they're formidable and also an integral part to their team. You guys have not been on the floor. Sorry.
But if you're
LaMelo plays 36 games, what did Zion play? 20, 25, 26? I can't subscribe to the fact that you are going to be above somebody like Tyrese Maxey on the top 10 list when you really for your both of y'all when your first 2 seasons haven't been healthy enough to actually get straight through a full season and also get to the postseason and being an integral part as to why your team has been successful.
So should Ja Morant be at number 5? He's missed time.
I get Ja Morant in fact because now again, guys like Ja Morant, Jaren Jackson Jr., Paolo Banchero, these guys who have won Paolo Banchero, Rookie of the Year, Jaren Jackson Jr., won Defensive Player of the Year, John Morant, most improved player. These guys who have won awards as to what they have been able to state their claim is in the NBA, in the league, I can't put these other guys above them because these guys have made it a point to not only up their game, but up their game to a particular status where they are now actually in conversation and also winning awards that matter when it comes to the league. So it's like, yeah, no, I can't put you above that. You know what I mean? I'm not going to put you above somebody who is a defensive player. I'm not going to put you above most improved. I'm not going to put you above somebody of that caliber, especially if you haven't been able to play a full NBA season. So, I mean, and realistically, for me at this point, like I said, as to why, like I have Maxey should be higher, above people like LaMelo and such. I mean, to see Scoot on the top 25 list is surprising to me. Scoot hasn't done anything. Scoot just got here. You know what I mean? And for him to even be on the top 25, let's talk about other people that who aren't on the top 25 that Scoot got above. Like, really? So you're going to tell me so he's above guys like Steve Bay? You're gonna tell me he's again above guys like Anthony Simons? He's above people like Keegan Murray. He's above guys like Mathurin over there in Indiana. Really? In these coming to these first 10 games of the season, School has done enough where he's above these guys. I think that's egregious. You know what I mean? Like, School hasn't shown enough to be above these guys at all. You know what I mean? Like, I understand the Chets, the Wembayanas, like these guys that are unicorns that are special. I mean, there's conversations that could even be had about Wembayanas, but when we talk about the guys that are under 25 that are showing their elite status in the league, I'm not putting Scoot over some of these guys that I mentioned, especially a guy like Mathurin out there in Indiana. So
I definitely 100% agree with you, Lou. You were a little too friendly with it. I thought Scoot shouldn't even be on the list. Like, he should be 37th.
Should have scratched.
Yeah, like, I have as a Blazers fan, somebody who the franchise is going to build around, who we basically essentially said, all right, Dame, go ahead and go. We got somebody else who's going to take the mantle, and this is what you're giving me. Now, granted, I do understand he is injured right now, but yet and still he has not lived up to the potential, to the player that we got. And there's definitely other players who are 25 and under who are outperforming him. So I 100% agree with you. This is egregious. When I saw this, I was like, what? He made the list? Get out of here, man. It was wild. Me, I'm a Blazer homer all day. But nah, son.
Son. By the end of the day, we respect the sport. Like, really, like, look what Mathurin is doing out there. Mind you, I get Halliburton being on the top 10. Halliburton has been absolutely, he's leading the league in assists, so on and so forth. Look, and guys like Maxey, not only are they, not only they're pursuing 26, shooting 26 and getting 10 assists, but also shooting over 40% from three. But you guys got like Kessler, you got Scoot scoring 8 points a game.
8.8, right? 8.8, isn't it?
Yeah.
You're not even nowhere
almost
near
9.
double.
Almost 9.
Let's be clear.
Almost.
Not quite.
9. Not quite.
But you got guys like Mathurin, who's next to Halliburton cooking. Come on. Like, let's be respectful. Like, at the end of the day, I understand, like, guys who are top 10 picks, you want to have that type of conversation because these guys, at the end of the day, the team wants to be like, all right, cool, this player was worth the high draft pick, but we also have to be clear about what we're seeing in these first, couple months of the league, and he's not there. So let's be respectful to other players that's under 25 that are cooking.
I just want to say 2 things real quick. One, Tyrese Maxey just put up his first 50-point game versus the Pacers, so right on that trajectory. And then 2, this list was designed for Lou to get more time to dump on Zion Williamson. So I think mission accomplished, ESPN. Good job.
They gave him a layup. An alley.
Listen,
I didn't even focus on Zion. I said both Zion and LaMelo, both players that were injured. You can't give me top 10 if you ain't on the floor. So.
Got you. All right. My take on the list real quick, y'all. Victor, love him. I don't think he should have been as high as 3. That's just my take on it. Now, I get it. He's lived up to expectations. Literally as recently as last episode, I'm raving about this guy. But when I look at the players we have behind him, Halliburton, Morant, Cade, I just think, can we give a little bit of the seniority respect to those who have actually been out there and done it versus the hype of Victor Wembanyama? So 3 is a little too generous. It's a little too generous for me.
To be in the top 10?
Yes, I think he deserves to be in top 10. I think he deserves to be top 10. If not, maybe like where Maxey is at 11. Do you get what I'm saying? But I don't think he deserves to be top 3. We have one Luka, Ant, and you got Wemby, right? Like that's hard for me. That's very hard for me right now. Now, I understand he's living up to our expectations, but yet and still, to me, you got to give seniority to guys who've gone out there and who've proven and taken it to that level. So that's just my take on it as well. And I will say this. I am following, man, a couple people on this list that are, I like Garland. I really do. I like Darius Garland. I'm a fan of him. I was shaking and rolling his eyes because I made a take. And I don't make this take right now. I don't care. If Garland had the athleticism that Ja Morant has, he'd be better than Ja. Okay. He'd be better than Ja.
Okay. Breaking news.
That's the only reason Ja Morant is getting rated higher than Darius Garland is athleticism. You can't control that.
I had the athleticism that Ja Morant had. I might be better than Ja. But you know, if we're 5th,
stop it.
I'll be messed up.
Because also Ja Morant didn't even know he had his he didn't even know he had his own athleticism until much later.
No, he did.
State.
Stop it.
No.
When Ja Morant came out,
give me a better hypothetical than that.
Come on, stop it. How he literally grew into his Murray State days of being. He was even a prospect to be able to be a top like college player. So like we're not even gonna act like like that was like something on his stat sheet where the athleticism at that point was so high that people were like,
I'm talking about in the league. I'm talking about in the league.
Understood.
In the league. His athleticism
he didn't have it in the first round.
No, my point is like when saying that is you if somebody had the athleticism from rip, then you can say, okay, they came in off of their athleticism. No, they had to build the fundamentals prior to that athleticism, then also being part of their arsenal. He had to have all the intangibles prior to.
You guys, I understand that, but you're also disrespecting a genetic component that happens. You guys are tripping. So there's guys that are allowed.
Ja Morant right now.
Oh yeah, I am disrespecting him. He's disrespecting himself by putting up guns.
Okay,
but
then we on it.
Listen, there's guys that have growth spurts in the NBA, right? That directly contribute to their athleticism. So you can't sit here and tell me that these guys are allowed to have growth spurts that directly contribute to their athleticism, but these shorter guys are not allowed to do the same thing. No, that's a real thing in the NBA. What I'm saying is my argument with the Garland thing is that in my eyes, from what I'm seeing on the court, right, what definitely separates them to another level is Ja Morant gives you the highlight reels. He gives you the fun that you want to watch. Like, I'll tune in. You want to tune in to watch that, right? And part of that for me is definitely his athleticism and how he attacks on the court. What I'm seeing with Garland is that's what he's lacking for me, right? But he has all the other intangibles, his shooting, his ball distribution, like all those intangibles. I feel like he does that better than Ja. That's my personal take with Ev here on the back and forth.
I'm a huge Garland fan.
If he had that athleticism, man, get out of here.
And I think here's the thing. Here's the big
didn't help him versus the Knicks in the playoffs.
It didn't. It didn't.
No,
it didn't.
But what I will say the biggest
the whole
thing is
Cavs got bullied.
Oh no, for sure. But I think
he gets hurt a lot too.
When you have Mitchell as the guy who is the athletic guy, who has all those other aspects of it, let's be real. When Mitchell came into that team, everybody came in looking at Mitchell as being continuing from what he would. as the guy on Utah, you're going to be the guy in Cleveland. Darius Garland is this rookie, this young guy that's coming in after you. But if we're going to be honest, we're going to be clear, it's Garland's team. Garland is the guy. You know what I mean? But the athleticism, that aspect of the game, it should be Garland's team if we're going to be clear. I think it should be.
That's up for debate. But I will say it's definitely Donovan Mitchell's team right now.
But that's what I'm saying. So like somebody who's Donovan Mitchell, like that athleticism and so on is like no one's gonna look for Garland to do that. He doesn't have to. You know what I mean? It's like, yo, all I have
he doesn't have it. You can't do it if you don't got it.
Yes, he doesn't have it. He doesn't have it. But also like the fact that like why it's not even a remote conversation is because he doesn't have to when you have someone like Donovan Mitchell who has, in his own right. You know what I mean?
But also he does other things that he doesn't have to, right? So do you remember 2 years ago in the All-Star game where they were doing the 2-on-2, the shooting? Like he has other attributes in his game that he's just doing a lot.
You just bring up the skills competition in your argument for
can we X out Evans? This is like rectangle.
I'm just saying, Ja can't shoot. That's his Achilles heel.
We're really reaching here.
Ja can't shoot. He shoots better than Garland.
Put that in the minutes.
No, he definitely doesn't shoot better than Garland.
He shoots better than Garland. That's right now. Like that's what we're doing.
But like Garland is
Darius Garland 2 years ago in the skills competition showed out. He's definitely better than Ja Morant.
Okay.
That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying if he was athletic,
that was a contributing factor you just threw out there.
I'm just saying, man. Mince it with you are. But look, we have to move on. We have to move on to the Sunshine State.
I just want to know who your favorite players are from this tournament. Just in general, under 25.
I'll give you 30 seconds. Anthony Edwards, number 2, 28 points per game, 6 and 5 rebounds and assists. Does absolutely everything on the court and cares on defense. Minnesota Timberwolves, as long as they have Anthony Edwards, they're in a good spot.
I'm going to disagree with him because Anthony Edwards is my favorite on that list without question. My second favorite is Sengun because I think he's a sleeper, dope big man, but my favorite on that list, I didn't want to be an Edwards fan, but like I can't help it, man. He's a dog.
I already said my favorite. I like Darius. I like how he's trending. I do like Ant. I like Luka. Luka's my MVP.
Better than Ja.
But yes, with athleticism, dog, better than Ja, bro. You already here for
another day. A topic for another day. I know Hans' musical favorites as well. So this Darius Garland pick is right on brand for him. As usual, he's reaching. Saying, continue.
Not reaching, just shoots better than Ja, distributes the ball better than Ja. But hey, whatever. Anywho, y'all, let's move on to the West Coast, aka the Golden State. They're struggling out there, man. As the great poet says, it never rains in California.
Oh, you talking about Southern California? You talking about
man?
You talking about that county? You talking about that county, right?
Yeah, man. The weather ain't been looking too great out there, and I'm talking about the Lakers. I'm talking about the
LA County, that Los Angeles County.
Yeah, boy.
Let's tread lightly now. Let's tread lightly.
I'm gonna have to cut that out. I don't know what we're doing.
We talking too crazy. Like, yo, did you?
So listen, man. I don't even know which one to start with, but we'll start with the Lakers. We'll start with the beloved Lakers, man.
Well, let's do it.
So the Lakers, we seen that. Number one, I will give them credit. Here's where I'll give them credit. On the clash versus LA, which is something I've been waiting for.
The Battle of LA.
The Battle of LA, which seems to never happen. But the Battle of LA.
Y'all actually be across the street from each other.
What battle?
Exactly. It's wild. The Battle of LA that I've been waiting for years finally happened this early in the season. And it was a great game. I think it did live up to some expectations. Lakers won that. But after that, bro, they've been struggling. AD has a hip injury, a spasm, I think it's what it's called.
It was confirmed as a hip spasm.
Hip spasm, right?
But he's been playing for the past 2 games already. So, I mean,
he's playing through injury.
But he's not 100% though, right?
what's a spasm? Who
Um,
knows what that means?
Sunday night, playing the Blazers as we record, he's been looking okay. He's definitely not 100%. He's about, I would say 90%.
You're giving him as high as 90%?
Yeah, I think I would. I would give him 90. Maybe 80.
So when you take a test in school, you get 90%. That's like A, right?
So he's an A-level player.
That's the grading system in America.
I'm just level studying where we at. You know what I mean? No.
I would say last.
So he's playing at an A level right now.
I would say the game against who is it that they just played? Phoenix. He was like 70%. I don't know what was going on.
Yeah, but but you're talking about the Blazers. So he's playing at A level.
They got dominating. I don't know what you're talking about.
No, but it's fine.
Stop it. All right. No Blazers slander here. This is all
it's not even Blazers. You said he's playing at 90%, which means he's playing at an A level. We'll check the stat line later.
All right. So anyway, after they beat the Clippers, they go on to lose to the Magic, the Heat, the Rockets, before getting a dub against Phoenix. All right. So with this being said, we're supposed to see a LeBron who's 45 years old. We got
he's 36.
AD. Right. We got AD. We got what's his name? Russell. We got Austin. What's going on with the Lakers that they're not able to execute against these teams that they're so clearly supposed to be? We got the Magic, we got the Heat, and the Rockets. What's going on? Is there concern in Laker fandom in the Laker locker room that they're not able to beat these teams with at least LeBron and Austin Reeves and
Anthony Davis
Russell on the court? So what's going on?
Well, let me jump in just so I can get on the Pod Mama's bad side real quick. I'm gonna be light though, because as I said, I've got a Lakers peace treaty until December. I don't want to break it. No, we're not gonna go. I'm just gonna try to give. I'm already defensive, but all right, let's go. I know you. He was defensive at the thought of the topic, but an unbiased take on the Lakers. All right, so we come into this season, and everybody is just, the Lakers, amazing off season, definitely top 3 team in the West. So many people's different finals pick. I understand they did a lot this offseason, but I'm just asking, is it definitive that what they did is great? Let's go through it. D'Angelo Russell. All right, they signed him to a contract. They re-signed him. Was anybody rushing to sign or trade for D'Angelo Russell? He was a no-show in the playoffs last year. He's been, his 4th team? I don't know if people were rushing for D'Angelo Russell. Jared Vanderbilt, great. They got him in the trade. He can't shoot. They didn't play him in the playoffs. Cam Reddish. How many more teams are going to buy the dream of Cam Reddish? I mean, I've been sold the dream with the Knicks. The Hawks have been sold the dream. The Blazers have been sold the dream. LA Lakers, welcome to the club. Gabe Vincent, he's done it for 5 minutes. Is he worth the money that he just got? Another no-show in the finals last year. Taurean Prince. I understand he had that game where he hit 8 threes against the Knicks. Taurean Prince has been available for a long time. He's on his 5th team. He's not all of a sudden this game breaker that's going to set your team apart. Jackson Hayes flamed out with the New Orleans Pelicans. Rui Hachimura, great. He turned it around last season with the Lakers. Ask the Wizards how that experience with them went. So I understand the Lakers did a lot in the offseason, but I mean, they signed a lot of questionable players. I left out Christian Wood. He's on his 8th team now. Has it worked for him yet? Is there any team that's been has been sad to see him go? How'd he do on that night when AD was injured? When AD was injured, my bad. There's an echo in my room. I'm sorry. Against the Rockets.
This is what I'm talking about.
How'd that go with AD starting? So that's just my question. I mean, there's numerous instances of these questionable players, and we put them together, and now it's all of a sudden, oh no, but the Lakers, with the work that they've done, definitely going to win the offseason. I don't see it at that point. In addition to that,
Can I address some of those when you're finished? Can I address some of those when you're done?
I mean, I expect nothing more than you to address them, my good friend Podmon. But I just have a couple more questions though. Okay, I'm gonna give you two, player A and player B, and you tell me. I'll give you a hint. Which one of these is Anthony Davis? Okay, player A, 50 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks. Player B, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks. Can you tell me which one of those is Anthony Davis? I'll make it easy.
I'm not going to respond to this bait. So
you shouldn't. You shouldn't. Both of them are Anthony Davis. Opening night 2016 against the Denver Nuggets. Anthony Davis, 50 points, 15 rebounds, 5 assists, 4 blocks. Opening night of 23.
Didn't they still lose that game though?
That's not what I'm talking about right now. Okay, 17 points, 8 rebounds, 4 assists, 2 blocks. The point that I'm making is
you can't win either way.
The Anthony Davis that we received years ago sold us a dream on what Anthony Davis was going to become. He's not that guy, and that guy is not coming back. And the guy that you guys have now isn't going to be a number one player on your team. And because he's not, you now have LeBron James, 38 years old, still having to play 34, 35 minutes a night to be the best player on a team in order for it to have a chance at succeeding. That's a lot to put on a 38-year-old player. As great as LeBron James is, that's a lot to put on him. So all I'm saying is,
I think that's a. How are you going to say that AD can't be that player when you just gave us that monstrosity of a stat?
Is what it is, man.
It's not a whether if he can, it's will he. There's times where he does his mood changes. He doesn't get the calls, blah blah blah. He starts. Yeah, exactly. I will give you that. I think he gets very moody, and he tends to like shy away from not getting the calls that he wanted, which will affect his game. And I think that's very bad on AD for doing that. But I wouldn't say it's not possible for him to be a number one because he's shown it. He took the Lakers from the 13th seed to the 7th seed while LeBron was injured.
It was a 2-game difference.
You're making my point, Christian. And I hate to support a Laker here, but I think AD can't give you that with LeBron being there. I think LeBron's the issue. I don't think this pairing of LeBron and AD is a great pairing, but they're so invested into it. They have to continue to put on this facade. They have to go through the rounds of the coach. They have to go through the rounds of piecing players and trying to make it work. I honestly do believe that LeBron and AD don't complement each other. Given the fact that AD is the type, he needs the ball so much more to get into rhythm, to feed him, to get him going. And when he doesn't get that, he pouts, like Christian is saying. I think, honestly, LeBron and AD just don't work well together. But the Lakers are so invested in now, they can't turn away from that. They really can't, because what's their alternative?
Exactly.
They're not going to get another player for AD unless Joel throws a fit in Philly and they figure something out there, or
but not even is that not,
but still, you get what I'm
saying?
If Joel goes there, it's the same issue you run into.
Well, maybe you get what I'm saying, but I really think it's more so. I think it's more so a LeBron issue, because here's my thing.
That's what I'm saying is like, LeBron will always be that issue no matter what team he's on.
No, not
so
necessarily.
long that he retires.
But here's not necessarily. Here's the thing. Yes and no. So when you have LeBron on your team, you've seen what he does when he goes to a team, right? I don't know if you guys saw this on Twitter. Gilbert Arenas, he was basically throwing down the whole idea of Heat culture, right? And he was saying it's LeBron culture, right? He that's what he was basically saying. There's no such thing as Heat culture. It's really LeBron. Look what they were doing before LeBron. Look what they were doing after LeBron, et cetera, et cetera. Here's one thing I don't think he understands. Wherever LeBron goes, he blows up a team and he forces people to piece around him, right?
Yes.
And I think what's happening is
it's never any young talent. He cannot.
Right. But
it's never young talent that can be developed. And then if he leaves, it's then now a foundation for them to continue on past it. He never does that. Yeah. He has to have ready-to-go players around him, period.
Yeah, he's the Walmart. That's basically what it is. He's the Walmart that comes into your town. So quick money, quick generation, you get it in there, you make a lot of people money, but you gentrify your town, you change it, your town is no longer what it used to be, right?
Agreed.
So I think that's more so what's going on with the Lakers rather than AD. Now, granted, AD does have his issues, right? He does have his consistency issues. He does have his attitude and moodiness issues. And yes, he's not always available to be on the court. But I think LeBron is really the issue, just piecing and finding players that complement him. It's just a task. It is a task. It really is a task. And gone are his days. He's no longer 32, 35, where you could just put bums on the court, right? And he'll take you to the finals. Gone are those days. So he needs specific pieces. And I hate to say it, bro, AD's not that piece. So the thing is, what are you going to do? Who has the balls? Who has the gumption? Who has the fortitude to say, look, bro, we know this who you want. It ain't working. If you want to get another chip, we got to put some different people around you. And they may be trading him for somebody else. What you want to do? That's just my take on it.
So we're running short on a little time, and we have to get to the Clippers. So I'll just end the Lakers part of it at this. All right. What makes me laugh about LeBron is that he says one thing and does another. He says he wants someone to take the reins from him, but then he takes all the shots.
Number one.
And he acts like the number one on the floor.
Exactly.
Why is he takes the
this worst. Is what an argument, and Hans, you remember this. I had this argument when the conversation was him going to Philly. I said that would be the worst decision for Philly to make, is to bring LeBron James in there.
Facts, but Philly was never going to be a destination for him. It doesn't have the media outlets. It doesn't fit with his brand.
Nowhere close.
He took AD from a superstar player into a guy who has to play second fiddle and has to get his shots by getting offensive rebounds and putbacks.
Literally a superstar. That's crazy, bro.
You have to feed AD. I mean, that's just
AD is like conversation. Like if it wasn't because it's AD, like we would look at numbers, strictly look at numbers, and we would not have him as an all-star. If we're going to be clear,
that's a whole different discussion. But
let's talk about other centers. We're strictly talking about centers. We're talking about other centers. We'd have other conversations about other centers that would be in conversation to take AD's spot if we took his name out of it.
Well, we'll leave it at that.
All right, guys, that's enough of our Lakers segment. As a proud Blazer fan, I cannot allow this to continue any longer.
We're still in LA with it though.
Nah, but we're still staying in the state of California. We're still staying in Christian's home state. We're going to talk about their neighbors, the Clippers. Ever since they've acquired James Harden thus far, by us recording at this date, they've been 0-4. It's an 0-4 start with the acquisition of James Harden. Now, Lou, I know you have been one, along with myself, who's been critical of whether or not they even needed to do this trade with Philly to acquire James Harden. What do you think is going on with the Clippers and this whole James Harden experiment?
I don't know necessarily what the purpose was or what the thought was in bringing him in, other than the fact is like, you know, you're hoping for a James Harden of Houston. Truly is what the thing. But I mean, dude, let's be clear in terms of facts. Like I never was a believer in James Harden coming to the Clippers as being away from them, because you know I had them as somebody that was going to win the Western Conference Finals, but not with him. Obviously, like you mentioned, 0-4 with him there. He is with him on the floor, they're -60. With him on the bench, they're +24.
Wow,
he's clearly not somebody that is a fit for that team. You already have Westbrook, you have Kawhi, you have PG. Why bring in Harden? I'm not a fan of it. I'm curious to see where they will go, but at the end of the day, if we were all to sit there and really go through who would have picked him up, is there another team that would have picked him up other than LA and the Clippers? Probably not. And I think this is probably his last stop. And if he can't make it work here, no. Not with AD and LeBron there. So at the end of the day, it's like, if he can't make it work here, I don't see him making it work anywhere. And he probably, he start signing his pink slip pretty early. So that's my take on that, man. Clippers better off without him.
Can 3 superstars be superstars at the same time? Can 4 stars be stars at the same time? What I mean by that is there's only so much basketball on the court to begin with. There's only so much that if you've been playing a certain way and it's been catered to you for years, there's only so much you can go back to playing a supporting role. When I look at James Harden, I look at somebody simply who can't even shoot a spot-up three-point shooter, shoot a spot-up three because he hasn't shot a spot-up three in years. He's been dribble, shoot, or dribble, fake shoot, drive. So he can't even get a kick out on an open three and shoot. Can he play help defense? Can he defend when his man doesn't have the ball? The way that he's played basketball since he got to Houston has only benefited him when he's been at the peak of his offensive powers. And now that he's out of that, I think he's a net negative on the court. And the Clippers are going to find that out the hard way.
Oh, it's not even you think he's a negative. We see that he literally is.
Yeah, the stats, as Lou pointed out, -60 while he's on the court is definitely something that the Clippers are going to have to address. I do know that their reasoning per Ty Lue when he was interviewed on would you look forward to having James Harden is passing. I think they could have got that from any of those other 3 players on the court. I think they could have got that from anybody else coming off their bench. I don't necessarily think the Clippers needed Harden. I don't know if this Harden experiment's going to work. I'm honestly concerned for the Clippers moving forward. I hope for the best because we want them to be competitive. I think it's good for the NBA if the Clippers are competitive. It's good for us to see the clashing of the quote-unquote Titans in the Western Conference, them being in the mix with the Lakers, with Denver, with Phoenix. We want to see our stars compete to the bitter end. So I think it's going to be an interesting thing to watch in the season. But speaking of this season that's early on, there are a couple things that are catching our eye. We know it's early, and that's why we don't want to beat any of these takes into the ground. But yet and still, there are certain trends, there are certain teams that are catching our eye. Ev, I know you have a couple things that are just really standing out and glaring at you on this ripe age of a season that's 10, 11 games in thus far. What are you seeing right now in this season that's really just, piquing your attention and got you tuning in?
Absolutely. And this is, like you said, a great snapshot to look at the league and where it's at right now. Most teams are playing their 9th or 10th game tonight or tomorrow. But when I'm looking at a lot of the storyline teams from this summer, and they're having issues so far. You look at Phoenix, and they're 4-5. They're in place to lose tonight. Might be 4-6. Now listen, I've made a ton of Devin Booker praise. Devin Booker hasn't been out there.
They lost.
Hey, yo, hold up.
So
Damn, man, I gotta go cut me a bag of chips real quick. My fault.
I mean, he hasn't been out there to put up the empty stats that you talk about. But you look at Milwaukee.
Matt Aaron bag. You're right.
This one here, man. What I'm gonna do with this guy?
I'm sorry, big brother. I'm sorry. Yeah, yo, rock out. I'm sorry. You was breaking it down for us. You was breaking it down.
It's all good. You look at Milwaukee. You look at them bringing in Damian Lillard, but their defense is gone kaput.
28th.
It makes
lackluster for sure.
It makes you wonder. It's early, but I know it's early, but did Boston win the Dame trade? Milwaukee doesn't look as good. Miami doesn't look as good. Portland doesn't look as good. Boston sweeps in, gets Drew Holiday, sends Robert Williams to Portland, who always gets hurt. And lo and behold, I hate to hear it, but hurt for the season. So they basically got Drew Holiday for nothing. I know Malcolm Brogdon was in the deal, but basically for nothing. So I know it's early, but it seems like Boston may have won the Dame trade. You look at other teams that are struggling as well. Memphis, we just had that whole diatribe on Garland versus Ja Morant. Well, one team that could definitely use Ja Morant right now is the Memphis Grizzlies, 2-8, can't score, can't score, can't close, total struggle right now. Their season's over at 2-8 in that Western Conference. I don't see coming back from that. I know it's early. Over. I know it's early.
They beat the Clippers though.
Well, perfect segue. The Clippers.
The Clippers though.
You know the funny part about the Clipper trade?
Who hasn't beat the Clippers?
Who hasn't beaten them right in the past week? They make the trade for Harden that they didn't have to make. What's funny about that, and I said that's going to segue into a couple things here. They make the trade. They trade all of their depth. Now they look terrible. Philadelphia gets their depth. Kelly Oubre, we get the news yesterday that he gets hit by a car, so now he's out indefinitely. Who steps in his role tonight? Nick Batum. Who's coming off the bench? Robert Covington. They acquired depth. And now they continue to look good. They got basically the best record in the league right now, continuing to grow and look better.
Can you take 30? Can you take not even 30, 10 seconds to speak about how wild the city of Philadelphia is to be able to hit a newly acquired player, probably the best acquired player you could have in this trade era. This trade environment.
You ever hear a story and you just really would just want to know more about the story?
Because I just want to know what ribs crack. This seems personal.
Yeah, very much so. I think that Kelly Oubre is the reason that they have the record that they have. I think he's been a vital piece, and I said it on the last episode. He's a chameleon. However your team is doing, the culture that your team has, he augments that and he fits into whatever culture that you have going. So if your team is put together and is gelling well, he comes in and augments that. If your team is about dysfunction and foolishness, he'll go with that as well. So I think he's been a vital part of what Philadelphia happens. He's been released from the hospital. Mm-hmm. They say that he's recovering well. So I'm glad that it's not anything life-threatening, and it's not anything season-ending. I don't think.
Yeah, no, not at all. Not at all. It should be.
But
I think
it is wild,
max.
though. Like Ev says, when you hear that story, you wanna see the play-by-play, frame-by-frame movie that goes along with it. You want to see what was going on. How do you hit a whole person? A pedestrian.
It gives me Lisa Liftoff vibes, but that's a whole nother conversation. But real talk, I hear what you're saying in terms of, because I agree that Kelly Oubre does give that to teams, but for Philadelphia, he hasn't even been able to even play with the team, to even have entered into the conversation of how he then fits into their squad. I mean, I know.
You don't think so? I think he has. I think he's played
great
to win.
Yeah, he's looked great through the first 8-9 games.
Numbers and
I do think he gave him great numbers, but it's just like it's very early on in terms of what he's been able to do for that team. Do I think that he fits well? Absolutely. But in terms of Philadelphia being able to figure out what he's going to be and then be able to maximize it, I think that this particular situation is going to slow that down, unfortunately. But do I think that he is probably one of the greatest pickups? They should have never gave up Rocco in the first place. You know what I mean?
So I said that. Yep. Sorry,
I felt that way.
I didn't mean to cut you off.
No, it's all good, because I felt like that way in the initial trade, when they initially traded Covington. I'm like, for what? They had super faith in Tibio. Shout out to the Zoes. they're like, okay, cool, that would be our defensive guy. You know what I mean? Like, but Rocco, though he wasn't your greatest offensive player, he's like a Jay Crowder type of guy. He can give you something. He can give you something offensively, even though you know that in terms of we're going to specialize him as a defensive guy for us.
And he gives you some defense as well.
And in Portland, they were able to benefit from being able to get him as that type of guy. But, for Philadelphia to get him back and get Oubre, I think that they, these pieces that they got were top-notch pieces. And, Philadelphia, they won that trade for sure, without question.
So
because
there's other teams. Sorry to cut you off. So
no,
just like Philadelphia's coming out the gate strong, there's another team that's coming out the gate strong as well, and that's the Minnesota Timberwolves. Now, you guys know that Ant has been balling out and definitely showed he's taking another step on the FIBA stage, definitely showcasing that he is that guy, he is that man. And the Timberwolves are really balling out, coming out the gate strong in the beginning of this season. Here's my question to you guys, and whoever wants to jump in can jump in. Are they benefiting from the struggle of some of the other teams in the West, or is Minnesota showing us that, no, they're going to be a team to be reckoned with? What are you guys thinking about that?
I think that, I can see the both. So here's what I think about Minnesota. Anthony Edwards, touched on him earlier. He's continuing to make that leap. He's looked better each year. He looks like the type of player that can carry a team. He still takes about 2 to 3 to 4 shots a game that I will call them heat check shots, but he's earning them at this point, and he cares on defense. Jaden McDaniels, an absolute beast defensively, can guard 2, 3s, 4s. So the combination of those two at the wing position, excellent. Rudy Gobert, he is a system defensive player. So when you have other folks playing defense and funneling them to him, listen, you got a 7-2, 7-3 player at the rim that gives effort. It's going to make it hard for you to score on them defensively. That just is what it is. And what all this is doing is forcing Karl-Anthony Towns to be more of a complementary player versus its centerpiece player.
Say it plainly,
which is not,
Evan.
But it's not a bad. Evan. No, because folks say that that's a bad thing, but I think that's a great thing plainly, for them.
What does this mean? This means that Minnesota is going to be what, or Minnesota is what?
A problem. You're going to make
Minnesota
noise.
Is Anthony Edwards' team. That's where I'm going.
Absolutely, it is.
And that's absolutely, and I'm sure we'll have future conversation in terms of what that means for Cat and what that means for him and his career moving forward. But in Edwards' team, and I know we had brief discussion in our chat about early analysis. For me, the team that I was like, wow, I'm surprised that's my okay, I'm really taking a keen look is Minnesota because of that fact. Because I think now more than ever, last season we saw flashes of it and there was conversation. I think this season now we're for sure this is Anthony Edwards' team. And what are we now going to see as the season is moving along? And prior to the trade deadline, what is Minnesota going to make a move? Are they going to look at Cat?
Yeah.
Are they going to try to make the Cat Gobert?
No. If Cat doesn't make noise, if Cat is mature enough and saying, "Look, it's working right now. We're trying to win. I want to win." Because that's been a criticism of him, right? Mm-hmm. They don't win, he doesn't win. If he wants to win, he sees they're winning and he's truly about winning, which he's been on record of saying that he's about.
He's the best big man in the league.
Yeah,
that's okay. Best shooting.
Yeah, best shooting.
Career 40% 3-point shooter. I mean,
listen, we'll give it to him. I mean, I think
if he's willing to accept that role, if he's willing to accept that role, to what you're saying, Hans, then he's overqualified for his position. Mm-hmm. But that's a good thing. As long as he's not making noise about it, you don't have to trade talent just because. Use that talent to your advantage you've got a deeper team. We haven't even mentioned Nas Reed off the bench,
exactly.
a filling the gaps type player. They've got a roster that can make noise. But like you said, Lou, it starts with Anthony Edwards.
He's actually, if he wants to look at it, in an advantageous position. He really is, because if it's Anthony Edwards' team, right, and they don't go anywhere,
I don't get
that's not on him. That's on Anthony
What are you
Edwards,
going to do?
Right?
That's what I'm saying. What are you going to do, Cat? So, but I bring that up to say, it's like, yo, Cat is at a position, like you guys mentioned. He's at a position right now. It's like we look at KD, for instance. KD, we know at the end of the day is nobody's going to argue in terms of the league right now who's the most prolific scorer. You're on Phoenix. Let the chips fall on Devin Booker. It rests on his shoulders as the guy, as the leader of the team. This is his team. You come in and you do exactly what you do great, just like you were in Golden State. Nobody was blaming KD if they lost the chip. They're gonna look at Steph. Cat, are you willing to step into that position? No, that's some big thing I'm curious to see. If he is willing to see that, to step into that position, I think we will see a successful Minnesota team. If not,
definitely
trade talk.
100% agree, guys. I do think we still have a lot left to dive into with this season, but we're short on time. As always, guys, thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate it. We do have an OT segment strictly on YouTube. So you'll be able to catch more conversation, more in-depth analysis that we have going on. We appreciate you joining us. Thank you. We'll see you guys next time.
What's up, guys, and thanks for listening. I want you to do 2 things for me right now. 1, give this episode a thumbs up, and 2, be sure to subscribe to our channel. You can also follow us on all the socials at the 3on3 Podcast, and send us an email at the 3on3podcast@gmail.com. We appreciate you, and tune in next week.